All right, so is Doechii an industry plant? This is a question I've been seeing going around after this video of Doechii came out. This is Doechii in Paris. It says her presence was strong in Paris as fans showed up, show the new it girl much love. So this is Doechii basically getting mobbed in the Paris streets, mobbed by what appears to be hundreds of eager fans as if she's Paul McCartney or Beyonce or something. Do I think this is real? Do I think this is 100% all organic Doechii fans who came and they were so excited they started mobbing her in the street that she had to get picked up by security and carried away? Do I think this is real? 100%? No. I think this is a part of a marketing campaign that TDE is putting on for Doechii. Allow me to explain. Now, I think it's worthwhile to explain what we mean by industry plant. A lot of times we use terms thinking we're meaning the same thing, but we have different definitions. So I just looked up the definition for industry plant. It says an industry plant is a derogatory term. It is derogatory for a musician who has label support but pretends to be independent. The term is often used to describe artists who have become popular quickly or without a large catalog of work. So already off the bat, I don't really agree with this first part. Industry plant is someone who pretends to be independent but is not. They have label support. But I do agree with this second part. It's a term used to describe artists who have become popular quickly or without a large catalog of work. And a lot of people are attributing this to Doechii, even though she does have a catalog of work. She has exploded in popularity, or not even, I wouldn't even say in popularity. Doechii has exploded in promotion in the last couple months, from winning the Grammy, which we'll talk about, to being named Billboard's Woman of the Year, to supposedly being mobbed in the streets of Paris by eager fans, right? And this is Doechii, who her album came out a couple months ago. It only sold 11,000 sales the first week, but to her credit, she is a platinum selling artist. She has a platinum single with Kodak Black. She might have more than one platinum single, right? So it's not like she's not known, but I think when people saw this, it just started to look like, okay, it's getting out of hand. You know, again, this is an artist who sold 11,000 the first week. I think now the album Alligator Bites Never Heal, it might have done 100,000. It's still not certified in any way. So the idea that there's so many people mobbing her in the streets eagerly that she has to be carried away by security, like as if she's an international superstar, it's to a lot of people, it just comes across disingenuous, right? Hey y'all, I am a one-man show. I record, edit the video myself, create the thumbnail, everything. So hitting like and subscribe does help a bunch. Thanks so much. Back to the video. But the question is Doechii an industry plant? Now, let me tell you how I define an industry plant, or rather, let me give you examples. To me, an industry plant would be someone who keeps, an artist, a rapper, let's say, who keeps getting pushed into our faces through marketing, on commercials, on social media. They have all these placements. They're on podcasts, they're doing interviews, but the commotion surrounding their music does not match that. So it's like the label or the industry is constantly giving them chances to become popular, even though it doesn't seem they deserve it, right? So to me, Tierra Whack is someone who would fit the term as an industry plant, right? Tierra Whack has all these great features, like she's on records with Flying Lotus and Tyler, the Creator, doing these podcast interviews. Her music doesn't sell. Her music doesn't really even have a target audience. It's hard to explain who even listens to that music. Like when she makes it, it's hard to understand what the target segment audience is going to be, but she's constantly being brought out to us. So I've said in some of my reviews of her music, it kind of seems like she might have friends in the industry who knows people. Somehow it's like she's got to know people, right? And then because she knows these people, she has these relationships, or maybe one of her family members is like a corporate person at one of these marketing labels or something. Whereas a person who is not an industry plant, they would basically face plant. It seems like Tierra Whack is just getting chance after chance after chance because she probably has connections, right? So I think that would be like an example of someone I think who would be an industry plant, right? But Doechii, let's get back to Doechii. Is she an industry plant? I don't think Doechii is an industry plant. I think this is just great marketing by TDE. I think TDE is on a marketing campaign. Now, how I started the video, I said, do I think all this is real? Do I think out of these people in this audience that it's a bunch of eager Doechii fans? Oh, the kid knows her. The kid wants to shake her hand. Oh, and then people are grabbing her to pick her up and carry her through the streets. Do I think this is 100% real? No. Do I think it's 100% fake? No. Are there Doechii fans in this crowd of people? Sure, I think so. But do I think this is staged? Yes. And if you've never read about public relations or propaganda, I would recommend you read the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays. He's known as the father of public relations. And he basically puts PR, public relations, and propaganda. He says they're one and the same thing, basically. And in that book, Propaganda, Edward Bernays goes into how corporations and the government by way of corporations, have staged events in order to sway public opinion on a topic, right? So for instance, in the 1900s, smoking, right? Smoking, cigarettes, tobacco, this was seen as taboo for women. The tobacco industry, they wanted to continue to make profits, to get more money. So how do we do this for the tobacco industry? Well, common sense is we get more people smoking. Tobacco industry, they already felt like they had the men's market cornered. We've already got a lot of men. There's really not much more we can do. It's diminishing returns. The more we spend into this diminishing returns, continuing to try to market to men, we can't market to kids. So let's market to women. So what they did, what the tobacco industry did, is they hired a firm to stage a protest.
Bernays was determined to find a way, alter the way these new crowds thought and felt. He wondered whether he might make money by manipulating the unconscious. At that time, there was a taboo against women smoking, and one of his early clients, George Hill, the president of the American Tobacco Corporation, asked Bernays to find a way of breaking it, that if he could find a way to connect cigarettes with the idea of challenging male power, then women would smoke, because then they would have their own penises. Bernays decided to stage an event there. He persuaded a group of rich debutantes to hide cigarettes under their clothes. Then they should join the parade, and at a given signal from him, they were to light up the cigarettes dramatically. Bernays then informed the press that he had heard that a group of suffragettes were preparing to protest by lighting up what they called torches of freedom.
I knew that all of the photographers would be there to capture this moment.
The protests to get more women smoking so the tobacco industry can make more money. The protest would be a woman standing in the middle of, I believe it was Central Park, smoking a cigarette. Again, all of this is staged. Smoking in the middle of Central Park and then walking down the park smoking. And it was so taboo that it caught a lot of people's attention. Now that turned out to become a huge protest. Women who are not a part of the staging joined. There were real women marching with her. It turned into this whole thing to where it turned into literally a breath of the feminist movement, like the feminist movement of that time. Like that one moment that the corporation staged, that was one of the launch pads for the feminist movement. Incidentally, it was a staged protest by the tobacco because they wanted women to smoke so they can get more money. But to the people who are not in on the gag, this is like, oh, this is this feminist movement. We're marching. You're not going to hold us down anymore. And at the end of the day, sure, it did turn out to be a liberating type of deal for women. But at the end of the day, the tobacco companies profited. Their protests worked. And this book basically goes into many different examples of that. This type of staging of events, it happens to this day. Even in politics, something as you would think is as sophisticated as politics. Politicians, they bus people, they pay people to come to their protests, to fill seats, to make it look like something it's not. It's smoke and mirrors. So the idea, so if you don't know about that, I would understand why you would think, man, what I'm saying is like off or like strange or like conspiratorial. But if you know about this type of thing, the idea that record labels are also not doing this with their artists is, I mean, it's not controversial to say that in the least. So I think this is an example of that. I think there are real people here. I think there are actual fans of Doechii here. But I also think it's I think press was paid to come. I think like the Doechii's team staged this. Like, we're going to do this thing. We're in Paris. We're going to get her carried back to her car. We're going to have people following her. We're going to send the video to the social media sites, to our public relations team, and we're going to disseminate it to help market Doechii. That's what I think is happening. And yes, in this midst of people, yeah, I do think there are actual Doechii fans, but it's staged, in my opinion. I have no proof to suggest this. I'm just on here yapping. Now, this Billboard Woman of the Year, 2025. We're 3 months into 2025. But Doechii, again, this is someone, Billboard, they do the whole charts, Billboard #1, top 100, hot charts. I don't even know if Doechii had a top 10 or 20 charted song. But again, this is a part of the marketing campaign, in my opinion, that TDE is on, Interscope is on right now. Because really, if you were going to give this Woman of the Year, it depends what it's based on. But if you're going to give this to a rapper, a girl, a woman in rap who deserved it the most based on their output, you would really give it to Glorilla, because Glorilla had a crazy good 2024, right? But it's Doechii. I mean, Doechii at the Grammys. She wins a Grammy, Best New Rap Album. Do I think this is a part of the marketing campaign? Yes. I think this is a part of a broader scheme to market Doechii. Yes, I think Doechii's Grammy win is a part of a larger scheme to promote Doechii. Grammys and Pulitzers and Oscars, these are not merit-based awards. I just want you guys to hear me out on this. A Grammy is not a merit-based award. Being nominated for a Grammy is not based on merit. Grammy is not even voted on by the people. The Grammy is, I would say, majority an industry or otherwise political award. That's who it goes to. If you're not tied into some major label, the odds of you winning a Grammy are slim to none. your label has to have certain connections, and it's not very transparent, is it? You know, how the winners and why the nominees are nominated. Something like an NFL MVP or an NBA MVP, these hold more merit and they're more transparent than a Grammy win. When someone wins an NBA MVP, we can see who voted on it. We can see how they rank the nominees. We can go to them for their reasoning. Why was it done? Even something like an NFL Pro Bowl, which people do not like the NFL Pro Bowl. The voting process is more transparent than the Grammys, and there's a fan vote that goes along with it, along with the media vote. So these are more merit-based than a Grammy. So the idea that someone would win a Grammy because their music was just so good, I mean, it runs anti to what the Grammys have always been. So when I say Doechii won a Grammy and it's a part of a larger marketing scheme, I'm not saying something as a shot to her. I'm saying that there's a concerted effort by Doechii's label and by the industry at large to promote her. And I think a large part of the industry is Interscope. Interscope has made a lot of money with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre has ties to TDE. These things connect. This is industry politics. The Grammy is not a merit-based award. So the idea that someone wins a Grammy because they're so good, like, you just gotta shake that out of your head. People win Grammys for industry or otherwise political reasons 90% of the time. Y'all let me know in the comments. Right, this is original thought. This is just like some thoughts I've been having. I think this is a part of TDE and Interscope seeing that, hey, Kendrick Lamar left. SZA has talked about how she's unhappy on the label. She's probably going to leave when her albums are done. TDE has been great to us. Interscope has been great to us. How can we help continue this? Because these guys at TDE obviously know talent. They have someone who checks the boxes for us. She just needs a push, right? Now, I don't think this is bad. I'm not saying I think Doechii's doing something bad here. This is a label marketing their artists, right? And I think it stands out because we don't see a lot of labels doing this type of thing with artists nowadays. A lot of times, labels, they just milk the artist for their one hit single or two hit singles, and then they kind of toss them to the side. There's really no artist in development. There's really none of that nowadays. So to see a label slowly investing and taking those steps nowadays, it looks off, right? But I think for Doechii, it especially looks off because, again, this is not someone who really sells records like that yet. She has platinum singles. In terms of albums, her album came out and it really didn't do anything. So to people, it just looks funny in the light, as opposed if it was someone who had songs that people really knew or was on the radio or was making the spins, which I think Doechii will have in the future. For it to be Doechii, it just looks odd in the light a little bit at this point in time. I think the Grammy win is a part of the whole marketing scheme to help Doechii out, which is fine. It begs the question, why would TDE feel the need to do this whole marketing campaign with Doechii of all people? There's other artists on that label who aren't getting this treatment. Why Doechii? I think Doechii has the sound. I think she has the look. She has everything stylistically to be a superstar in rap. I think so. And I think TDE sees that. And I think Interscope sees that. That's why they're assisting in this, in my opinion. Allegedly. We're just speculating here. So I think they see, okay, she has the music, but she needs that push. And I think that's why you see a Grammy nomination. I think that's why you see a Grammy win. I think that's why you see Billboard coming behind her. I think that's why you see things like this. I think that's why you're seeing all this, right? I was looking at SZA's album recently. I'm like, I thought she dropped an album last year. I'm looking at okay, Control, SOS, but I thought she dropped an album. And then I see here, it says reissued in 2024 as Lana. So I'm like, what? Now I was watching this video by Luesta where he breaks down what's going on with TDE nowadays. Great video. I suggest you all watch it. But in that video, he says that SZA has 2 more albums left on her deal at TDE. She's 35 years old. She has 2 albums left. She's only dropped 2 albums in the past 6-7 years. In my head, I'm like, why was Lana a reissue if it's all new songs? I looked at the track list. All these are new songs. This is a album's worth of songs. Why is this a reissue, a deluxe version of SOS? And it got me thinking, because SZA's been the only artist on TDE who has been bold enough to voice their dissent with the label publicly. Everyone else kind of just stays quiet historically. So I think, again, I'm just speculating. If you have the intel, you let me know, because I'm just speculating. But to me, it would appear that because SZA is so vocally critiques TDE and Punch about what's going on with her music, that the way they compromised was, okay, SZA, we'll let you release new music because your fans want new music, you want music. This is your main gripe with this. We'll let you release new music, but it's not going to count towards your albums contractually. And I think that's why this came out as a deluxe. Again, I'm just speculating. I have nothing, but this is what makes sense to me. I have nothing to back this up, but this is what makes sense to me. Because SZA's thing is always, they won't let me drop music. I have music. Like you're killing my momentum. Like basically, let me drop music. And it appears here that the compromise was, okay, SZA, you can drop music, but it's just going to be a deluxe version of your album, and you're still going to owe us the same amount of albums that you owed us before. It appears that TDE is holding on to SZA for dear life, because Kendrick already left. That was their cash cow. SZA's currently their cash cow. And the reason I think they're getting behind Doechii so hard, investing so much into her, pulling all the strings to get the Billboard, to get the Grammy, to get, marketing and the social media push. I think the reason they're pushing so hard is because they see the writing on the wall with SZA. Like, yeah, she's probably not going to return to our label when her contract is up. So we're going to hold on to her for dear life. She released SOS in 2012. It was 5 years between that and Control. They'll probably wait another 5 years from SOS to release another SZA album, maybe 2027. SZA will be on, she only has 2 albums left. She'll probably be on this label until 2030s. Like, she'll be 40 by the time she releases her last album contractually with TDE. She'll release one, then she'll have one more left. By the time that next one comes out, she'll be in her 40s. Like, they're gonna hold on to her for as long as possible. I think they're putting all this push behind Doechii because they see her as like the next cash cow on TDE, and she has the best chance of any of them. I think that's what they're saying, and I agree with them. This is why we see this huge investment in Doechii, and I think it's fair for a lot of people to say, this is odd. People are on social media. I mean, it's fair when they're saying, like, are they not trying to make it obvious anymore? Like, they're making it extremely obvious what's going on. I think it's fair for people to say that because it does look a little funny, right? And then we also don't see this type of investment and this type of kind of slow, granular movement between labels and artists nowadays anymore. We don't really see that. For someone like Doechii, it does, I can see why to some people it will come across as odd. I don't think she's an industry plant, but I think the industry is setting her up to win. Doechii is being set up to win. And you don't see a lot of labels put their artists in that position so heavily that often. The only way she doesn't become a major superstar is if like she self-sabotages. It's gonna be something of her doing because her label is putting her in the position to win. So I don't think it's an industry plant, but I do understand why people say that. I think it's investment in its marketing by TDE. And yes, some of it looks odd. This is a person who, they dropped an album last year. It did 11,000 the first week. This is like independent artist numbers, like maybe a bigger independent artist. But she wins a Grammy and then she's Billboard Woman of the Year and then she's getting chased through Paris. Like it does look a little odd. But let TDE cook, let them market their artists. I think it's working. We'll truly see if it works when her next album comes out. But I think she'll get a hit record. She's going to have some hits, some bigger hits, some more platinum hits. So I think the investment will pay off for TDE. So anyway, that's all I got for today. What do y'all think? Is Doechii industry plant or not? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Top5rapwebsite.com.